it's very so often that we take a break, and even before the end of break, we get an opportunity to run into some very special so-and-sos, and especially here on the regular program. Sometimes we get lucky, and sometimes did you know that we were going to be doing something here? Or?
No, I joined here with a couple of friends just at the VKet, and I just suddenly heard your voice over here.
Dude, that is too funny. But yeah, welcome back, everybody, from a very short break. It is VRCDJLIVE here at the I'm going to call it the Alta Vista, and it is the Alta Vista. We did it. Alta Vista Midnight Crescent Com. And that is where you'll be able to see our booth, and you can come up here and take pictures and whatever. But we are thankfully joined by Mr. Fishbowl over here, Tunity, just kind of coming in to take a look at all the different things VKet style. Because you said you were literally going on vacation tomorrow, right? Or is it in a couple hours?
I'm going in an hour.
Shoot! Okay.
Quickly just being on VRChat just to hang with some friends before I head on the drive.
Well, I won't keep you for too long, but it would be nice to just kind of sit here and kind of talk a little bit about all sorts of stuff, especially on the program. It's the DJ program. You're like the guy who does the DJ stuff, so that's super cool. Tell us a little bit about Fishbowl in general. I know you guys just celebrated your 5th anniversary recently, just having Fishbowl in general in VR has been miraculous, in my opinion, just because the venues have always been very intuitive, and it's been very awesome to have all sorts of people from all sorts of different walks of life. Tell us a little bit about your journey with Fishbowl and VRChat recently, even celebrating the 5th anniversary.
Yeah, like you said, 5 years. It's just been crazy how that built up. Like over the periods when we started, there were barely any VRChat clubs, and now there's so many DJs on top of that. It's really hard to keep up. But recently we've just been kind of focusing on bringing out quality events. So we took a bit of a break from doing events for a little bit. Really focused on what we could do. We brought back some older styles, brought back some older DJs that we hadn't had in a while. Sometimes you just gotta, shake things up a little bit, and we try to do that as often as possible. And I think that's why we stuck around for so long, because we get a new map every once in a while. We make it a big extravaganza. We try to involve as many people as possible always. I really try to make Fishbowl a community club and focus on what the community can do for each other, rather than just focusing on the performance and the DJ specifically, but just make sure that everyone is part of the performance. Everyone is a big part of the entire experience in the map. And so recently that's been really my focus, trying to bring that back into the community a bit, like really making those people feel like they're back together again.
Now, it's really interesting, too, because we've seen each other from time to time in instances, and regardless of whatever you've got going on, I've got going on, we don't always have time to chat and talk. But I do remember the time that we first met, and you got excited, and some other members of your staff got excited about knowing me, and at the same time, for me, it was just a matter of, I don't know, trying to find a way to explain to people that I exist compared to, I don't know, some other guy in here performing. But with the vast amount of DJs that are either coming in or other DJs that you're learning that has some sort of significant weight in here, how has that been for you in the past 2 years alone, being able to kind of either search new talent or finding out that someone has been in here for a longer time?
Ooh, how has that been to find those kinds of talents around, you mean? Oh, it's been really fun. Like, you get people like Merles, I'm sure you've talked about before on here. Like, those people really focus on bringing new talent into the community, and I often find myself going to Merles and finding new people through him. From all kinds of places. And sometimes like with you, I run into just someone that has supposedly been DJing for a very long time in VRChat, or at least been helping out in the community, like you did with drinking night and stuff like that. But you never see each other up until that point, and you just suddenly it clicks, and it's just a very, very cool thing to see. How many different DJs there are, how many different sub-communities inside of sub-communities inside of sub-communities there are, with different little talents that you might never run into. And when you do run into those places, it's one of the coolest things ever. And when you run into those DJs, you just want to give them a platform and showcase that. It becomes almost too hard to pick DJs sometimes. say.
Yeah, and it's
There's
interesting
so many
too.
DJs.
I've been bringing up the fact that like I love watching VR chat content on TikTok. Like recently, there's been a ton of creators. They've been kind of getting back into Instagram, and I don't want to go ahead and plant that seed, but since March, I've been hearing that a lot of music producers, a lot of record labels, a lot of promoters are constantly looking at Instagram compared to any other platform, and that blows my mind because at the same time, I'm just like, I don't want to be on Instagram. I don't. But at the same time, too, if that's what they are looking for, then I'm going to try my best to do that. So the same thing goes with the social media stars, is that like on occasion when they do pop up in here, it's like a unicorn, and you're just like I got to figure out a way to say hi. I don't want to seem bashful being like, oh, I watch your content all the time, and I love it. I like all your stuff. Do you remember me? Kind of a thing. But it happens, and I feel like it needs to happen a lot more, especially within the DJ community, because the forecast and the landscape of it all is just so miraculous, because you have some people that have done really well, and they're continuously doing really well, but then you still have this huge influx of just new talent and new DJs wanting to come in and shine. And what we talk about on the platform a lot on the show is just like finding ways for those new talents to shine without hearing the gripes and groans of them being like, oh, I don't get bookings. Oh, I don't get, time to do something. When in reality, you really could just go and do a pop-up and practice a little bit more. But even more so, like, again, with Fishbowl, I feel like we don't see it as often, but at the same time, it's good that we don't see it as often. It's a very special moment when a Fishbowl event happens, and you kind of want to go to it. Let alone even the fact that last year's Fishbowl, Costa Del Fishbowl, was a success, that you're going to be having it again this year. So talk to us a little bit about putting together an IRL event. I feel like that's something that's really difficult for a lot of clubs to even think a little bit about.
It is pretty difficult just in general to do. Like, it's also a lot of pressure. Like, you are going to be responsible for usually countless people just flying over or driving over in different countries. So you got to make sure that it all goes well and to plan. So I would suggest like start small and like find a place that don't be afraid to ask for help from places that you book. That's like how I went ahead with it. We got a really lucky place. Cafe Costa is really welcoming to us. They were very open to the VR idea. Of course, you will have to explain a bit how that all like goes to plan. At first, they thought everyone was going to be standing with VR headsets in the club. We first proposed the plan. They thought they were just going to people just with VR headsets there. But after we explained it, they became super open to it, and they gave us a big opportunity to just work together. They do their part, I do my part with the advertising, making sure that everyone is able to come over, doing the tickets and stuff like that. They do mostly setting up the DJ decks and stuff like that. So make sure you find a club like that can do stuff like that for you, especially the first couple of times.
So
don't
as far
put
as
too much like hay on your fork, I would say.
So as far as like the representation of VR and VRChat, was it just like, are they just new to technology? Are they open to technology? Or did you end up just showing them a little bit about what regular Fishbowl in VR looked like? And that's what sold that idea?
We showed them a couple of videos from, I believe it was a couple of the first submarine events that we did. We showed them how many people there were and how that would fill up a room just in like a virtual environment during COVID. They just were very surprised to see, and they just wanted to hear, do you think all those people are going to come over? And I said, yeah. And they said, let's make it happen. So they were quite eager to do it. And I mean, Eindhoven is a pretty forward-thinking, very modern city. So I guess it's also like that also played a role for them to accept it a bit better.
Now, I don't really want to be like, it's not really much of a negative Nancy, but it's more of a realization. And it's something that I've been trying to understand. And I think a lot of us in VRChat have been trying to understand it as well. As far as the American side is that, like, I got my chance to go to Amsterdam last year for Liquidity. Unearth was going on at the same time. So I got to experience what it was like to be a part of a VRChat IRL event. but also hang out. There was like at least 60 of us at Liquidity, and actually got yelled at because Costa the Fishbowl was happening like a week later. So like they were trying to get me to stay in Amsterdam for a week later, and I'm like, I don't have the money for this. I can't stick around. But being able to be so receptive to that compared to what we have to go through in the America side for that is two different animals. And while it sounds, the way you're making it sound is so easy. And I hope it's easy for you. But the thing is that for someone that's listening to it may not see it as easy, or need better guidance on that.
It's definitely it's a lot of steps to get to like a full product at that point. But the first step definitely is just finding a place that is accepting of even doing the event in the first place. I think that's the most important part. Once you get all that going, you can start asking for DJs, see which DJs are open to even like play for sets at events in real life and stuff like that. Then once you get all of that sorted, all you really have to do is sort out the tickets, and you can help people out with finding hotels if they have questions and stuff like that. But it really, once you get that ball rolling, it's kind of like a trance, I would almost say. It just all comes naturally. Mm-hmm. It really is a lot easier than you would think.
Now I'm going to ask you a very complicated question, but where do you see the forecast of VRChat, the VRChat rave scene currently, as opposed to what you may have seen in the past 2 years? Because it had been kind of growing since 2022, but so much so that we've made the show so we could be a little bit more grounded and understanding of where we're headed in the future. Where do you see that this whole phenomenon heading?
I think it's just gonna keep growing for a little bit at least. There's a lot of new concepts, a lot of new effects being implemented in clubs, and a lot of when there's a lot of innovation still happening. I think there's a lot of reason for people to keep coming back and keep going and stuff like that, until we get to a point where clubs don't really have stuff to develop anymore. Like, let's say every single kind of DMX system, every single kind of laser has been added, every single thing that is mind-blowing to see in VR has been added. I think that's what the point where it's going to get to a stalemate, where stuff is going to slow down a bit with the growing of the community. But I think that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of clubs, a lot of places you can already go to at the moment. And at some point, people are just going to divide themselves properly across those things. And even though it might seem like some clubs get less people, I would say, at those points, it's just the same amount of people being divided over the amount of clubs, and you shouldn't be upset about that. So I think we're gonna see a little bit of a peak, and then it's gonna slide a bit into the middle.
Now, considering like DMX lighting and here integration with like VJing, and I guess people are still using Resolume, or where they're trying to buy the Resolume because it's so expensive and stuff like that, even comparable to game creators in here, I think a couple weeks ago I asked the same question to Aztec Angelo at Rift because he's got this really big passion for creating video games, and while Unity is starting to grow more and we're getting more applications in here, we just got that new light system. I forgot what it's actually called.
The new lighting,
yeah, and like being able to integrate that, all the club owners are just pulling their hair out because they want to implement it. Actually, I think the submarine has it now. I believe I went there. Not the submarine.
No, not the new stuff yet. No, that's still just aerialits. That's still the old system. I haven't actually touched those yet, but we're gonna get new stuff added soon. That's in the works.
Creating all of that, and then again trying to find the inspiration on building new maps, or VRChat is always a weird space because it's like you have the technology to make a video game, but as far as like publishing said video game, you kind of can't because you're just doing it in VRChat, lest you build on Unreal or a different type of a Unity engine. So it's not a matter of a concern. It's a matter of an understanding of where people are focused and where they're wanting to head to. So as far as Fishbowl's concerned and making these types of events, obviously DJing isn't going to be popular forever. If it is, that's cool. But at the same time, a lot of attention, a lot of time, a lot of effort is being put into these types of maps. Do you have any sort of intention in the future to try to, really beef up that idea? Or is there anything else that you're looking to implement within Fishbowl to take it another step forward?
Yeah, so for the current map that we have, the deep dive, that one, the focus was really to have a VJ in there every week. We haven't been able to do that so far. So there's not been really any DMX, hasn't been any dedicated VJ visuals just yet. So I kind of wanted to take that up a notch in the first place. And we've also been working on getting visual effects like screen overlays, like you see at Eurocorp's events recently a lot. Been talking to Martino's and Wake from Googie. And we've just been working on implementing stuff like that. So we're still trying to evolve the map a lot, actually. And I'm also looking into making my own maps like separate from the Fishbowl brand a little bit, where I'm going to be working more on like visual effects and stuff like that as well. So maybe you'll see some combinations, some announcements about that in Fishbowl with some bigger, like more custom concepts that are not really focused on fish and underwater and stuff like that.
That makes it so unique as a fish bowl. You actually have to make a fish bowl, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah, that's kind of like what's always held me back from like really creatively spreading my wings in it, because it's just so iconic to be like fish related and stuff like that for us. And it's a really cool theme. It's a really cool theme.
You could always have a side project too, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been looking into doing. Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, I would love to have you on the regular VRCDJ live show at some point in time. We'll have to get back to me. We'll have to talk after your vacation, and hopefully, you know, after when I'm either before or after Four Seasons when I'm touring. But at the same time, you know, we found you walking around VKet a little bit. This isn't your first map of VKet. Have you seen other maps? Or?
No. Yeah, we've been to the corporate ones, like the first one, I think, and just a couple of the Avatar ones as well before. But cool. Now this was the second one from the World Showcase, I believe.
What are you usually looking for in VKet? Like when you're visiting VKet?
So in the submarine, you have this really cool dance floor, right? Like that like tracks the movements on it. I found that at VKet, so I'm always like kind of looking for inspiration for what would fit Fishbowl and effects that could maybe be sold in there. Like I've always kind of used it for that. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have a nice little like businessy type of getup. I like those shoes. They can't really see it from the inside of the test there. There you go, perfect. But I mean, are you also looking for a new business attire, or do you find yourself wearing some other
sometimes
attire?
I recently started getting into booth avatars, so yeah, I'm kind of looking for a bit of that as well. I'm always curious. I mean, I'm just walking around checking out everything, I guess.
What's your original stances on VKet too? I mean, you've been to a couple of VKets. I mean, obviously you've been here for a while. What are your thoughts about VKet?
I've been to most VKets, I think.
Yeah, and there's the fact. Well, a lot of the community, we're just like, oh, VKet again, but at the same time, it is biannually, so we get to have VKet in here twice a year. But it just so happens that 6 months down the road, it's another VKet, and then we go, oh crap, it's another 6 months. But we're just constantly kind of growing in here. And what is your take on that?
It's the fact that moving community.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of users in here.
I would say that it's worth it. I mean, there's constantly new users, actually, people new joining, checking out new things, but also just showcasing what people have been making. I think 6 months is a long time for people to be working on projects. So honestly. I think it's good value. It's good value. I appreciate it happening twice a year, actually.
Yeah, and it's great to be able to take some time, hang out. You got your whole crew down here, and they're they're watching from down there. But yeah, that's really cool. So I'm glad that you had some opportunity to stop by a little bit. What do we get to look forward to with Costa Del Fishbowl this year?
Oh, we got some really fun DJs coming up, and just the same as last year. Just super cool people working there, a lot of lights flashing, a lot of effects, just a good time overall. And it's my birthday as well on that day, so it's going to be a double party for me. So I'm just very excited to see my friends and hang out.
Where can people find information on that or to buy tickets?
If you go to discord.gg/fishbowl, we have a bunch of information in there in the news channel. We should be posting about it multiple times this week because we got a bunch of side events going on that week as well, where you can go to a theme park, karaoke, pool, all that kind of stuff. So that's where you can check it out. That's
definitely a place to do it. Now, obviously, you guys have been around forever, and people want to keep going to it. But before we get you out of here, what are your holiday plans? Have you thought about that yet?
Oh, my holiday plans? No.
Yeah, not your vacation plans. Like Christmas,
no.
Halloween, no?
No, we've had thoughts about doing a second event like at the end of the year around that time, but nothing really concrete on my end. Not even for my own personal things yet. No, not really.
It's so tricky to talk about just because, like, I don't want to say the obvious that October is literally 3 months away. But at the same time, too, I mean, you can't just be working on spooky stuff in the middle of spooky season. Like, you have to kind of get started that a little ahead of time. But Tunity.
No, at the moment, nothing crazy.
Thanks for kind of coming on over here, and I'm glad that my producer was able to snag you to kind of come on and talk a little bit. But we'll get you out of here, and thanks for coming on the show for a little bit.
Anytime, man. Have a good rest of your night, man.